Hello and welcome to Pilates with Marilyn Harder. My name is Marilyn Harder. I'm a Pilates instructor and Pilates master trainer, and according to my husband, a savant in human kinesiology, or the movement of the body. My journey began with movement in Pilates when I was 15 years old and has continued to grow and just flourish. I have what I'd like to call an interesting body. If I listed out all the things that my body has gone through, it would be another 10-15 minutes. But just to kind of wrap things up in a nice tight package, I have scoliosis, a hypermobility disorder where my joints go beyond normal range of motion. As a result of a lot of these things, I have injured my shoulders, my hips have been an issue throughout my life, and repetitive rolling of the ankles. It wasn't until I really dove deep into my Pilates practice that I found a way to increase my body awareness and my body alignment and strength in a way that I can function through life in a pain-free way. And that's what I want for you in this process. So stay curious with your body. What Pilates can do for you is increase your internal awareness of where your body is in space. And that's really, truly the foundational amazement of what Pilates can provide. Additionally, the goal is to increase strength and connection with your body. For me, when I first began Pilates, I don't even think I had full awareness of every inch and corner of my body. And bringing my mind and soul into my body has really helped with just the way I carry myself into the entire world. So you can expect an increase in self-confidence, self-awareness, and self-assuredness as well. When we move better, we move more. And when we move more, we are more apt to take care of our bodies in other amazing ways. So each episode is going to be structured in a very similar way. We're going to begin with mobility exercises and move through progressions, maybe thinking and discovery points. And the goal for you is to repeat this 3 to 5 times over the week until the next episode is released. I will give you natural stopping points, so if you're working up through your body, you can stop at a place that feels right and honors your body today, or you can continue to progress through the workout. So just know that as you move through, it is your exploration of your body. If something hurts, it's sharp, it's stabbing, it's shooting, that's an indication to stop. Pain is our best teacher. If you're sore, you're working muscles you've never felt before, just work until you feel like you can't control the bones in space anymore, and I'll cue you through that. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started today. And what you'll need is a couple of washcloths. I have 3 washcloths. We're going to use these washcloths to support our body in space. You'll also need a chair, especially if you have any knee issues, and the way that I'm sitting right now makes you cringe. I have a chair just right off camera that I can pull in for when we use it. And with that, we will begin. Today, we'll explore each of our body positions and the progressions, and I will give you an opportunity to take it up to the next level or stay where you're good. So I want you to start with 1 washcloth, and we're going to take it and we're going to tri-fold it. So sort of like a brochure, I'm going to fold it once, fold it twice, until it's a little sandwich. We're going to use this to help support our body in space. And if you want to remove the washcloth at any time, you can. If you're finding it's not supportive enough for you, you can prepare a few more washcloths in that tri-fold, and you can stack them and place them in different places throughout your workout to create deeper connections. So I'm just going to prep all of my washcloths. And we're going to come down to the floor in our first position. What struck me most about Pilates when I began was I get to start laying down, and to me that was very exciting. So we're going to take that first washcloth and we're going to be placing it right underneath the natural curvature of your low back. So that way when you lay down, you feel like your pelvis sort of rolls to what's called a neutral position. So we're going to find neutral, bring your hands into a diamond and place those thumbs just below your belly button. And when you do, you should feel the bones of your hips with the heels of your hands and the bones of your pubis with your fingertips. So you're sort of making a pyramid with all of those bones. And we are going into what's called a pelvic rock. So basically, we're going to follow the natural curvature of the tailbone with our breath to find the abdominal center. So I want you to start with just a couple good deep breaths, because before we mobilize, we always want to center. So I want you to take a good deep inhale in through your nose. And as you do, I want you to feel your ribs expand out to the side and to the back. If you feel the breath going into your belly, I want you to try and keep that belly flat and breathe into your rib cage. We're trying to mobilize that rib cage. And then exhale, we're going to blow out all the air like you're blowing out 1,000 birthday candles. Keep blowing out those birthday candles like that one ornery candle won't go out. And as you continue to exhale, blowing out that last little bit of flame, you'll feel the ribs draw together and down to the floor, and sort of a contraction like a corset around your midsection. That's the deepest layer of our abdominals. So as we move through our workouts, if you are having a hard time connecting through your abdominals, come back to that breath. So I'm going to teach you one more way to breathe. Same big inhale, expanding those ribs out to the side and back. And then exhale, blow out all that air like you're blowing out 1,000 birthday candles. Feel that corset. Second breath, we're going to exhale a little different. Inhale in through that nose. Pause. Try and take one more sip of air. Feel that expansion through that rib cage. Now, I want you to sigh like an annoyed teenager. And your mom's not getting the point. Keep going. For me, I get a flatter, more deeper connection in the lower half of my rectus abdominis and transverse abdominis with that second breath. You will notice I will alternate between the two breaths based on the exercise, because that's what's connected to my body. So please feel free to explore those two breaths through our abdominal connection and decide what's right for you. All right, with those thumbs just below your belly button, we're going to roll our pelvis. I want you to inhale through the nose and exhale your favorite exhale, rolling an imaginary marble from your fingertips towards your belly button. You'll feel your low back come in contact with that towel, and you'll continue to roll. Try not to press through those feet. Just use the abdominals, glutes and hamstrings, and legs are quiet. And roll that imaginary marble back towards your pubic bone. You may be thinking, gosh, Marilyn, this moves pretty slow. Well, today is designed for anyone who's never done Pilates before. So if you are beyond this education in your own body, just fast forward. Find a space that does feel good to you, or explore the return to basics. We'll go ahead and go one more, rolling that imaginary marble towards your belly button. Now I want you to take your fingertips and press them into your lower abdominals. We want to feel that contraction against our fingertips. Now, if you've had any sort of lower abdominal surgeries, especially if it's been a C-section or a traumatic surgery, there sometimes are nerve endings that no longer communicate. And this is the way that we connect and find that abdominal center again. So I want you to try and press down into your abdominals and try and brace against those fingers. This may be where you are in your exploration of lower abdominal movement, and just stay there. All right, we're going to go ahead and roll back to what's called our neutral position. That's when our hands are parallel with the ceiling. Neutral is where we want to be anytime our feet are to the floor. It's called a closed chain exercise. Now let's roll that imaginary marble towards your belly button. And now we are in what's called an imprint. So imprint is anytime that our feet leave the floor, this protects our low back and keeps our abdominals engaged. So imprint versus neutral. We never want to be in an extended space where those ribs or low back arch off the floor. That's when we have a tendency to injure ourselves. All right, so now that we're with the same thing, together with our terminology, we're going to go ahead and move into some abdominal warm-up exercises. So let's go ahead and roll that imaginary marble towards imprint against the towel. Now that towel can stay there, or at any time your low back feels taxed, you can move it just beyond your tailbone, and that will help roll that marble and keep it into your belly button. All right, hands are going to come down by our sides, flip the palms up to the ceiling, and shimmy those shoulder blades down your back. Now I want you to feel how the rib cage wants to pop up, and as you exhale, feel those ribs draw in and down to the floor. All right, now I'm going to try and keep that connection as I flip just the palms to the floor and press down. You should feel this in the back of the arms and not the neck. If you feel it in your neck, then you're not in neutral with those shoulder blades. So try and roll them back again. Exhale, pull the rib cage down, and then press into your hands. All right, we're going into a march here. We're going to draw one knee up into tabletop, trying to keep your abdominals drawn down towards the floor. You want your glutes to engage as the opposite muscle of that lower abdominal center, and slowly tap it back down, and we're going to alternate. Now, as you continue to alternate, try and keep your glutes on. Feel those glutes fire. Feel the abdominals draw down in towards the towel. You may notice that your hips want to rock from right to left, or they want to rock up right to left. So we call that rocking up right to left an up slip. So we're trying to like have a little pretty woman walk. So we want to try and minimize all movement here as we begin to explore. Use that breath to engage those lower abdominals. All right, if you're ready for a progression, you can, instead of keeping those legs down to the floor, bring both up into a tabletop position. And we're going to tap the legs back down. Now again, as you tap the toe down, only go down as far as it feels right to your body. If you feel any strain in your low back, your rib cage, your neck, you've gone too far. So find that exploration. Now, if you're landing to the floor and launching up, you're losing the connections. So that's considered momentum work versus muscular work. So even if you have full range to the floor, challenge yourself not to touch to the floor. Again, if you're feeling any strain in your low back, you can move that towel underneath that tailbone. We're going to do one more set, and then we're going to talk about any spasming up into the upper back as we move on. All right, that was even for me, so I'm going to set my feet down one at a time carefully to support my low back. Now, if you felt any spasming in the upper back, you can take a second towel and move it right underneath the upper rib cage, and that'll help you keep everything connected. If you spend a lot of time at the computer, that may have built up for you. All right, so we are going to use that towel at the rib cage to lever up on for chest lifts. We're going to wrap our hands back behind our head, shoulders draw back and down. Now, if chest lifts are not for you because it does not feel good through your upper back or neck, go back to the marching or toe taps. Otherwise, we're going to draw our shoulder blades back and down our back, neck is long, chin draws in. Big inhale through the crown of your head. Now exhale, close those ribs and allow your body to rise. Now pause there at the top. Draw your chin in to give yourself a double chin. If you need to set down, you do. So that way you feel the work in the front of the neck and not the base of the skull. And go ahead and lower it on down. Good. Draw your shoulder blades back and down. Inhale there. Exhale, chest lift up. Now, as you chest lift up, can you feel that entire abdominal center? From rib cage all the way down to pubic bone. See if you can use that exhale to find a deeper connection. And then inhale, lower it down. I like to use my breath to explore my body. So exhale, chest lift up. And I take a little inventory. Do I feel my neck? If so, double chin. Do I feel my shoulder blades down my back? If not, draw them down. Can I feel my abdominals, rib cage towards pubic bone? If not, take a second exhale. Good, we're gonna go ahead and do one more. Now, it's really helpful to close your eyes. Big inhale in, feel your rib cage expand. Exhale, chest lift up, keep those glutes on. They're your oppositional muscles of your abdominals. Now, if you're at a progression, you can stay in the chest lift. Otherwise, set your head down, and we're going to march one more time. So if you're at the challenge point, keep that chest lift. Big inhales in. Now exhale, try to flatten your belly. Take a look at that belly, and it's going to want to float up like a bread basket. We want to try and use that exhale like there's a 500-pound weight on our belly, and we're trying to flatten it down to the floor or widen it out to the sides. When you do that good exhale, it should shake a bit more. We've got one more. And then go ahead and set it all the way down. All right, we're going to go ahead and move over to our side. In our side position, we can use those towels, stack them up one on top of the other, and place them right underneath that hip bone. When we do, it's going to keep the hips from rolling and that rib relaxing down to the floor. All right, so if you come into the side lying position and this does not feel good to you to lay down on your side, I'll show you a option in a moment, and it's a standing option. If your shoulder doesn't want to be underneath your head, same thing, you can do the standing option. All right, bottom leg is going to stay tucked under like a kickstand. Top leg is going to fully extend away from you. So that way you're lengthening in two directions. Your hips should be stacked one on top of the other. Bring that hand in front of the rib cage to make sure that you're not rolling forward or back. If you have the mobility, take that hand behind you and make sure those hips are stacked one on top of the other. Now I want you to reach the toe in one direction away from the crown of the head, and then try and lengthen the crown of the head in the other direction. And you'll feel that bottom rib lift and the top oblique elongate, so you're not hanging out in like a suspension bridge, but you're being tugged in two directions. Now, if you have a weak gluteus medius, which is the corners of the buns, you should already feel it working. We're going to add a little lift and lower. Now, as you continue to lift and lower, I want you to think about where your tailbone is reaching. The tailbone wants to reach towards that heel in space. The ultimate goal here is to have that gluteus medius, which is the corners of the buns. If you don't feel it there, tap it. Be strong enough to do 3 sets of 50 of these. I'm not going to do that to you today. We're going to go ahead and go 5 more, and then I'm going to show you the standing option on the next set. And we've got 3. Now, if this feels fine to you, you're going to stay here. And 2. Good. And 1. Perfect. Go ahead and set it down and bring it on in. Part of my body is going to come off camera here as I stand up, but I'm going to grab my chair. So I'm going to grab my chair, flip it around. You can use a countertop as well. So I want you to find a place where you can root your feet into the floor, and you want to hug yourself up against the chair or the countertop, and then I like to take the opposite hand across the body to stabilize. Then you're going to tap that leg out to the side, and you're going to lift and tap it down. Now you think you're working the outside leg, but you're really working your balance leg more. So this is your option for set 2. If you're still on the floor, go ahead and lift and lower that leg. We don't want the trunk of the body to change. We want to keep it as tall as possible. Now, if you're standing and you're finding that this is really hard, the hip wants to sit out, walk away just a little bit and add a little lean to it, and try and get the big toe to pinky toe side down to the floor in the center of the heel. Good. We'll go ahead and go 2 more. And then the last one, we're going to do a final set. All right, rest for a moment. If your body is still keeping in the right muscular group, know that you can continue to move anytime I give us a break. The subsequent times that you do this work, anytime I pause to explain, keep in motion. Start your motion early. Find the connections when you know what you're supposed to do. All right, heels are in line with the glutes. Tailbone reaches towards the heels. Ribs are stacked, hips are stacked, neck is long. All right, bottom leg can stay anchored. Top leg is going to start to lift into a clamp. We want to lift up and open. So our glute med right now is my favorite muscle because this is the one that has really helped me keep pain-free. So when I was born so internally rotated in the hips that my mom told me that the doctors wanted to break my hips and reset them. So as a child, I had full-on corrective shoes, was knock-kneed, pigeon-toed, the whole deal. and which was no problem. I just thought that was the way my body was put together. We've got 5 more. But in the process of wearing my body into my late 20s, I started having severe knee issues and severe hip pain on my right side more than my left side. All right, if you've been counting, this is it. Go ahead and lift it up. And then I want you to try and find tiny little pulses. Squeeze and release in through that space. By now, that hip should be burning. If on the second time around you want a progression, you can lift that heel, but don't let your hips roll, and do those pulses there. We've got 3. You rest when you need to rest. And 2, make sure you're still in that suspension bridge. And 1, good, go ahead and lower it on down. We're gonna roll over onto our back and stretch that out. So back to my story, I found myself in my late 20s with osteoarthritis. And if you know what osteoarthritis is, it basically is where there has been a malalignment of the joint and there is some rubbing of that joint that's caused osteocytes and irritation. So in the process of discovering this, I was really disappointed. I was headed to a knee replacement at 30. But it was the process of understanding and relearning my body in Pilates and this magic muscle, the gluteus medius, let's roll to the other side, that has allowed me to stay pain-free. So this work is really good for lifting and shaping as well. Okay, so I've got my towels underneath my hips, bottom leg is bent, extending that top leg. If you need to take that standing option, do it. Tailbone reaches towards the heels, neck is long, and we're going to reach toe one direction, crown of the head the other, creating that open oblique, and we'll go into that lift and lower. All right, into that lift and lower. Remember, we want to feel it in that gluteus medius, the corners of our buns. So that glute med is responsible for the tracking of the femur. So for me, when I was so internally rotated, it was rubbing on the inside of that knee joint, and you can even see I'm still slightly internally rotated. I spent 30 plus years wearing my body that way, so it's going to take longer to unroot that system. But it's possible. And for me, that excited me. It excited me that just continuing to work my body, I could be pain-free. I could keep my knees. I could have a longevity of life where hiking and walking up the stairs, which had become incredibly painful, was also 80 pounds heavier than I am now. We've got 2 more. Could be possible. And rest. All right, go ahead and bend that knee. If you want to keep going, keep going. And then we're coming to our second set. Big inhale there. Exhale, extend the leg. Now, it's about the quality of the movement. Tailbone reaches towards the heels. We don't want to arch through that back there. Rib cage is in, rather than quantity of movement. So if today only 5 to 6 feels right to your body, stay with 5 and 6. If this whole set feels great, keep with it. If you start to feel your body recruiting other muscles, we're no longer working in our optimal alignment, and it's time to pause, reset, and come back. So that's our goal this week, is to really focus in on building this gluteus medius. After we're done evening out, if this is enough for you today, this is where you would pause. If you feel like you've got more in your tank, we've got a little more ab work and some glute work to finish this out. All right, last one. Go ahead and bring it on in. Okay, resetting. I'm going to just double check my alignment, hand behind the back, hand in front of the rib. All right, and I'm going to start that lift and lower with the bottom leg. So remember, we don't want to just lift up, we want to lift open. And anywhere the leg is going, our body wants to lengthen the other way. That's how we increase our abdominal strength. So right now, even though it doesn't feel like it, we're also working the obliques. So what does all of this do aesthetically? Because, you know, sometimes it's the aesthetics that motivate us more so than pain. For me, it was pain. The aesthetics was a bonus. It helps narrow your waistline. So when we work the obliques, it helps tighten in that natural high waist. Also, burning glute med here. That glute med will help lift and shape the buns. Hello, jean or swimsuit booty, right? Okay, go ahead and hold it there at the top, and let's do tiny little pulses. Remember, if you wanted that progression, you're welcome to take it. And I'm lifting open. Good. You've got 4 and 3, 2 and 1. Perfect. Go ahead and bring it in. We're going to roll over onto our backs. I'm going to separate those towels so I have one underneath my hips and one under my ribs, and give myself that figure 4 stretch. Now, if you want a deeper stretch, you can always reach under, pull things in, but sometimes that's not available for knees, hips, back, neck. So you just go where it feels right to your body. So you may be thinking, 80 pounds overweight? Sure was. And it's been in the process of really learning to love the body I was given. We only get one. That has really grown my self-appreciation. And when we love the body we're in, we tend to treat it better. So if you're stopping your workout today, just great job showing up for practicing your own self-care. You're worth it. If you're joining us for the second half of the workout, make sure you separated those towels, one underneath the rib cage, one underneath the low back. We're going to float our knees into a nice tight tabletop, drawing them towards our shins. This is called tabletop because the shins are parallel with the ceiling like a tabletop, rather than toes towards the floor or toes up towards the ceiling. Now, if at any time this exercise doesn't feel right, do a second set of what we've done earlier and build your way up. Glutes should be engaged, hands on top. We're going to exhale, chest lift up, pull ourselves nose to knees. Let's extend one leg, drawing the other knee into your chest, and switch. Make sure to pull your chin in, give yourself a nice space between your chin and chest like you're holding a soft peach. And exhale, switch. Now, if this feels too hard for your body, set your head down. If it feels too much for your legs, send them up versus low. Just know you work in the range that feels right for you. We'll go ahead and go one more set. Use the exhale. Try and feel the whole rectus abdominis and transverse, pubic bone to rib cage. Then bring the knees in, set the head down. Give yourself a little gentle rock side to side or circle with the shins around an opposite direction. And then we're going to do one more of the exact same movement, second set. All right, glutes are engaged. Inhale there, exhale, chest lift up. Now again, you can always go back to toe taps, but this time we're going to support our head. So hands come behind the head, supporting the neck. You're going to exhale, extend one leg up or out, and try and use the exhale to draw the belly flat to the ground. And switch. And switch one more time. Come up one more inch, lever up onto that towel. Try and keep that height, shoulder blades lightly touching the floor, and bring those knees in and set the head down. Now for me, that range of motion happened over time. I definitely could not get a chest lift like that in the beginning. So if it's baby, allow it to be there. All right, toes are gonna lightly tap to the floor, and we're gonna work things out. Allow the knees to roll to one side and to the other. All right, we'll do one more. You wanna use your abdominals to draw yourself back center. Try to keep those hips as anchored as possible. And come on in. All right, you can roll over to your side to come on up, or we're coming up into a chest lift, roll up. So where that towel is underneath the low back, I want you to pull it out and insert your hands. And we are going to chest lift up, lever up at the ribs, look at our toes, and if we get stuck, we push those hands all the way up. Now the ultimate goal is to be able to come all the way up to the top without using those hands. I have an amazing tutorial out there at my website, mindbodyandgod.com, if you want to work on that this week as well. All right, we're going to do one last shape. I'm going to turn you around so you can put your feet onto the chair. So if you need to go pull that chair in like I do, go for it. This is my allowance for knee issues in bridges. So I'm going to grab that towel, place it underneath the low back again, and I am going to place my feet onto the chair. So I want to make sure that that chair is close enough that my knees are stacked right over the hips, and I'm going to go heels right on top of the chair so I'm not going to accidentally push that chair away. I want you to have some downward pressure. Now, if you draw the heels down and some downward pressure and you feel like your knees are not ready for this, the bridge series is not for you yet. We'll work on knee strengtheners at the end of how we can strengthen those knees to work our way up. All right, palms flip up to shimmy those shoulders back and down. Flip the palms down towards the floor, and we're going to exhale once all the way out. Feel that corset connect around the midsection, and we are neutral, so not pushing into that low back. Now on the second exhale, we're going to pull down through the heels and press to those hands and squeeze through those buns and engage those abdominals and lift the hips up as high as it feels right to your body and lower it down in one single unit. Now you only come up as high as your shoulders or where you feel your glutes are engaged and you're not taking over in somewhere else. My hips are a little fun today, so I'm going smaller range of motion. But if you can go all the way up to the top, I know I can do one. Just make sure you're not impinging the neck at the top. You want to keep it nice and long. Tailbone reaches behind the knee, pubic bone presses forward, and then lowered all the way down. Good. We're going to go ahead and go one more. You can use the edge of a couch or an ottoman or a coffee table and start to explore this. This is so vital for longevity of movement. Actually, once I did one, it felt good because when we sit all day long, our glutes, aka our buns, get tight and weak, and our lengthened and weak, and our hip flexors get really tight but also weak, and this pulls our pelvis out of alignment, causing a lot of low back pain. So bridges are the ones we love to hate. All right, I think that's enough for today in those bridges. We're going to go ahead and come on up, and I'm going to show you a knee strengthener to end our series today. So let's go ahead and have a seat in the chair. And what's important here in our knee strengtheners is alignment. So I'm going to actually flip so you can see my knees. So alignment is critical in knee placement. So we want the center of the kneecap to be in line with the second toe. So if you look down at your knee and your foot is externally rotated and you bring it in and your knee goes internally rotated, you're internally rotated like me. So if you put your hand to the outside of your ankle, hand on the inside, try to align it, keeping that second toe in line with the knee. I find big garage sale dots help. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to extend that leg. And as we extend the leg, I want you to try and lift the kneecap and try and lift it with the musculature. And we're going to do several of these. Now the goal is to try and resist the movement. In Pilates, we call that the co-contraction, when one muscle resists against the movement of the other. So I like to layer in imagery. Imagine someone's pushing down on your foot and you're trying to resist up against it. And we'll go one more. And you can work your way up by laying a bag of rice or beans across the knee. And this is good work even if you are in excellent shape, because the knees do like to come off track in just regular movement patterns. I work with runners, a lot of runners, that have developed ankle, foot, or knee issues over marathons. And this is one of the simple exercises that I have them do before they run. This goes back to my background in exercise therapy. We'll go one more. And that was even for me, right to left, give or take. I count like a kindergarten. I may skip a few numbers. Well, that is it for us today. Again, this is your baseline workout, the baseline to find our connections in space. And I just want to leave you with this thought. Everything that we do to care for our body, care for our minds, care for our emotional center, care for our spiritual center is called self-care. So moving your body today was an act of self-care. And I just want to leave you with this. Self-care for you. You are worth it. You are worth the time and the investment. Now, if you want to explore other ways to care for yourself, please visit corporatehippiconnection.com. We have several modalities. There are several ways to reach self-love. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I look forward to you progressing over this week, and I will see you next time. Bye, friends.